The colon is a hollow organ of the digestive system located in the abdominal wall and represents that section of large intestine that starts from the ileocecal valve, a muscular sphincter that divides the terminal part of the small intestine from the cecum and ends with the rectum. The colon is about 1.5 meters long and is made up of 4 sections: the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and the sigmoid colon. The colon, together with the cecum and rectum, thus forms the large intestine. The colon has the task of absorbing water and mineral salts from partially digested food from the small intestine to form a mass with a solid consistency typical of feces. The latter accumulate in the rectum until they are then expelled from the body during defecation. Thanks to the intestinal microbiota, that is, the set of all the microorganisms that populate our digestive system, the colon is also able to synthesize some essential fat-soluble vitamins before they are eliminated from the body. Keeping the colon clean and therefore healthy also means having a healthier intestine and an intestinal microbiota in perfect balance. But how do you do this? Let's go see it. Hydration. Water represents the main constituent of the human body and represents about 60% of body weight in adult males and 50%/55% in females. Maintaining adequate hydration of the body brings numerous benefits to the body and ensures the proper performance of bodily functions, including lubricating the joints, maintaining a stable body temperature, and promoting digestive processes and the elimination of waste substances from the body. Taking the right amount of water also helps keep the colon clean and promotes gastrointestinal well-being. It is no coincidence that dehydration is often the cause of slow digestion and dry stools that are difficult to expel. This is because the body, not receiving enough water to function properly, tries to recover as much as possible by absorbing it from the feces, thus causing constipation. It is a rather common disorder that manifests itself with difficulty in expelling stools and completely emptying the intestines, or with an evacuation frequency of less than 3 times a week. Water is also important to keep the walls of the intestine clean and elastic, thus promoting intestinal peristalsis and therefore the flow of feces along the different sections of the colon. Experts recommend drinking at least 2 liters of water a day, even if the quantities vary greatly from one individual to another, as they depend on a number of factors such as age, gender, body weight, and level of physical activity. Limit red meat consumption. Red meats are so called because of their typical color that ranges from pink to intense red, depending on the type and cut of meat. The red color is due in particular to the presence in the meat of myoglobin, a small globular protein which has the task of transporting oxygen to the animal's muscles. The higher the myoglobin concentration is, the more intense the red color of the affected muscle tissue will be. If on the one hand red meat is rich in high biological value proteins, minerals, and vitamins, including iron and group B vitamins, on the other hand the debate about its real risks is increasingly heated and supported by numerous scientific evidences. Following more than 800 studies, red meat was in fact included by the International Agency for Research on Cancer in the group of probably carcinogenic substances, while processed red meat, such as sausages and cured meats, in that of certain carcinogenic substances. Individuals who eat diets high in animal protein, especially red and processed meats, have an increased risk of developing gastrointestinal cancers, including colorectal and stomach cancers. According to experts, 18–21% of colon cancers are probably linked to the consumption of red meat and sausages. A document published by the World Cancer Research Fund International estimated that every 50-gram portion of processed meat eaten daily increases the risk of colorectal cancer by about 18%. The cancer risk related to the consumption of red meat is more difficult to estimate because the evidence that red meat causes cancer is not as strong. However, if the association of red meat and colorectal cancer were proven to be causal, data from the same studies suggest that the risk of colorectal cancer could increase by 17% for every 100-gram portion of red meat eaten daily. The International Agency for Research on Cancer recommends consuming no more than 500 grams of red meat per week to limit the risk of cancer. The Harvard Medical School, on the other hand, further restricts the consumption limit of red meat to portions not exceeding 110 to 115 grams, at most 2 times per week. Eat more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Consuming the right amount of fruits and vegetables every day greatly improves colon health and has been associated with a reduction in the risk of colorectal cancer. Fruits and vegetables are an important source of vitamins and minerals essential for our body. They are low in calories, low in fat, and rich in antioxidant substances and dietary fiber, a group of organic substances that the enzymes of our digestive system are unable to break down and therefore digest. Even if they are not absorbed by the intestine, dietary fibers help to increase and soften the fecal mass, consequently favoring intestinal transit and therefore the evacuation of feces. Not only that, the polysaccharides that make up most of the fiber are a precious nutrient for our intestinal microbiota and perform a prebiotic function that is capable of stimulating the growth of those bacteria present in the intestinal tract that have a beneficial effect on our body, ensuring thus a perfect balance of the intestinal microbiota. Experts recommend consuming at least 25/30 grams of fiber per day. Among the primary sources of fiber, we find legumes and whole grains, such as rice and whole oats, corn and quinoa, without forgetting bread, pasta, and other products made with whole grains and flours. Artichokes, aubergines, carrots, raspberries, apples, pears, and almonds are other examples of foods that provide a good amount of fiber. The Italian National Institute of Health recommends the consumption of at least 5 portions of fruit and vegetables every day, with the suggestion to vary as much as possible and use seasonal products. The guidelines also recommend consuming legumes and cereals, preferably whole grains, at least 2/3 times a week. Do not abuse antibiotics. Antibiotics are a group of drugs used to treat or prevent infections caused by bacteria. Contrary to what many people think, antibiotic drugs are not effective against any infectious disease, such as the viruses responsible for the common cold and flu. In fact, many people, as soon as they notice the first flu or cold symptoms, think of nipping the problem in the bud by taking any type of antibiotic available at home. The abuse of antibiotics alters the balance of the intestinal microbiota, as it attacks all the bacteria that live permanently in our digestive system and decreases the colon's ability to control inflammatory states and to resist the invasion of new pathogenic bacteria. The reduction in the diversity of bacterial species causes intestinal dysbiosis, a condition of imbalance in which the presence of bad bacteria increases at the expense of the good ones. In this way, some disturbances can be felt, such as meteorism, diarrhea, pain, and abdominal swelling, accompanied by a state of general malaise, up to the onset of bacterial infections, reflux, autoimmune diseases, and colon tumors. The excessive or inappropriate use of antibiotics represents one of the health emergencies of the third millennium and is responsible for antibiotic resistance. That is, the ability of bacteria to adapt and resist the action of antibiotic drugs normally used to combat them, thus making bacterial infections more difficult to cure. The Italian National Institute of Health reminds to take antibiotics always and only after a doctor's prescription, respecting the doses and times established by your doctor. Do physical activity. Physical activity is real medicine for our body and should be an integral part of a healthy lifestyle at all ages. In addition to helping to maintain and improve psychophysical well-being, it reduces the risk of developing various metabolic, cardiovascular, osteoarticular diseases, and various forms of cancer. Following some studies, it was discovered that practicing regular physical activity stimulates peristalsis, enriches the diversity of the intestinal microbiota, and maintains its balance, reducing the possibility of incurring a condition of dysbiosis. It is not yet clear how this happens, but several theories have been formulated. One is that exercise changes the production of lactic acid in the intestinal lumen, which could serve as fuel for some of the good bacteria that populate our digestive tract. Physical exercise also improves blood circulation and increases intestinal vascularization, thus leading to greater nourishment of the intestine itself, which in turn favors an improvement in mood, stress, and sleep quality, all factors that have always been considered possible enemies of the intestinal microbiota. We have therefore seen that a few simple precautions are enough to keep our colon clean and restore correct intestinal function, consequently reducing the risk of developing numerous diseases of the gastrointestinal tract and colorectal cancer.